Okay, so they see my 5-year-old exhibiting some of these behaviors, and she has not had any big T trauma. Is a mild form of this normal part of development? Well, I would say probably what's likely happened is there is some sort of she's feeling this. I keep
Insecurity.
wanting to use detachment, but it's not. I don't think it's working here. Detachment, it's not. What's the opposite of attachment? She's feeling the distance. She's feeling disconnected in some way. And this again can happen for
Whatever reason.
unintentional reasons.
Yep.
You have a baby, you're not sleeping, is that happening to you? Just things that are happening and they just feel a little bit like
A little threatened.
not noticed,
Yeah.
neglected, not like intentional neglection, but like I'm just not getting the attention I want or need.
And they go through phases where they
Yeah.
feel strong and safe and everything's good. And then they get to another phase and they're like, oh man, I'm not so sure anymore. I really need to lean back in. And well, actually, I want to emphasize this, ladies, a ton. Your kids will oscillate through this for
Mhm.
their whole lives. They'll get to a stage where they're like, I got it. This is amazing. A year later, they're so unsure of themselves. Like, oh man,
Mhm.
now what? Now I'm hitting puberty. Yeah. And then they get used to that, and then they hit another stage and like, "Oh, man," and they're questioning their identity, they're questioning their self-worth, they're trying to figure out who they are. They go through a new phase of life. Their voice changes, their bodies change, and now they're like, "Oh, man, I felt so good, but now I'm insecure again. I need my parents to reassure me
Mhm.
that I'm okay."
Yeah.
So if you do
The
this
ebb and
when
flow.
they're 3 or 4 and you're like, "I'm done. I got it." No. When they're 14, they're like, "Who am I?" And you're like, "Come here. It's all good. It's all good. Come here. That's weird. I know you're going out in the world and people say mean things. The sky's falling. You're okay. You're good." And guess what? It'll happen again when they're young adults. Like, so this is going to happen so many times, and we have to be there as parents to say, "You're good.
Right.
Let me help you. Make sure I have that relationship." But if any point along that path, they're at a low and you're not available, that gets really scary.
That's when these, and again, I'm using the word disorder on purpose so that we can have awareness about what we're talking about. That's when these disorders are amplified because they have a need for whatever reason, developmentally, socially, and we're not there to secure them, to assure them, right? And if that happens, then the gap between us just expands. And so we have to recognize that that's what's occurring, especially when we're like, why aren't they listening to me? Why don't they respond? We're like, oh, something happened that made that gap bigger, and I have to heal that. I have to bridge that gap. So I want to get into some of that specifically because obviously that's the most important part. That's why we're here. Um, Wait, should I read that comment here?
It's just recommending a book
Cool.
that how even first
Tiny
world.
trauma adds up to bigger trauma, even from things like too much stuff, too many choices, too many. Yeah, I like this. Too much info coming at us, not enough daily rhythm, essentially overwhelm. Yeah, all of that in ways little t trauma, and it can build and build and build, especially if we're not intentional about processing it, removing it, recovering from it. All of that's a part of it.
And all the devices, you guys, and social media and phone and texting and messaging and
Hmm.
overwhelm of music and overwhelm of movies. How many
So much
hundreds of
trauma.
movies are being
All the
published
discounts
every
on the
day?
post, all of
Yeah.
the, you know,
So yeah,
being
now they're being judged and bullied online too instead of in person. Like this is insane.
it is.
So kids are being bombarded and you're like,
Yeah.
gosh, like as parents, we have to be on our A game to
Mhm.
help them get through all this garbage. So Julie asked, is the approach for attachment healing the same for the different attachment disorders?
I
I
would
would
say
say
essentially
yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because when you there's these common denominators, there's things you do that just work. And if we do them, whatever vehicle our child chose, it resolves
Yeah.
the vehicle. Like
Because be, because again, let's go back to the analogy of we can use the tree. If the behavior is the symptom, that's like the branches. And there's that quote about how there's what's the quote? Say it.
it's from Thoreau. He said, for every 1,000 people hacking away at the branches, there's one person going to the root.
Yes. So in a way, if we think about it that way, the attachment disorders are all the branches on the tree. But if we go back to the source of healing, like that's just the root, that's the trunk. That's where it all starts. And so it is all connected there. When we go to the root, it's going to solve, fix, eliminate all of those branches of misbehavior.
Let me reemphasize that another way. You might be sitting here thinking, my kid does this and this and this and this and this. And you're like, I need to address all those. Can you please help me address all those? And in this case, we'd say, well, all those are just symptoms of
They're all
this
connected to the
one
trunk
problem.
right here.
So let's focus on this problem, and all of those symptoms will take care of themselves.
Exactly.
They'll literally go away. And I know you as moms, you're like, oh no, 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 no. I have to address each issue. I have to point it out. I have to tell them because I see it and I just have to fix it. And I know how you are. You're like, I see the thing. And we're here telling you, like, stop. Focus on the cause, and all of the symptoms will take care of themselves. And I get it.
Symptoms, AKA bad behavior.
Yeah, all the behaviors will just go away when the core problem is solved. Does that make sense? At least
Cognitively.
cognitively? I know emotionally you're like, not gonna happen. I have to take care of every last little thing. But when we solve the core problem, the misbehaviors just go away on their own.
Okay. And so what is the core problem? The core problem is they don't have secure attachment. Because if they have secure attachment, there's not a need for all of these misbehaviors. But if they have one of the other three attachment styles, AKA disorders, that's what's causing the misbehaviors. I do not know how to emphasize this enough. See your child's misbehavior as a symptom of an underlying problem. I know I keep saying that, but I'm like, I want to get it through your head. Misbehavior is not normal in securely attached children. That's what I'm trying to say. So you think I have to address the misbehavior, and I'm saying no. Address the attachment and the misbehaviors disappear. Like I just want to shout it from the rooftops. I like that's my mission, to share that message. That's what we're trying to say. When you heal the problem and you create secure attachment, you don't have misbehaviors. So if you have misbehavior on the other side of the coin, that means you need to heal some sort of disconnection, detachment.
I love how you make up words.